It happened long, long ago. On the outskirts of a certain city stood an old, abandoned mansion. Everyone in the city whispered the same story about it. A terrifying shadow lived within its walls. They said that anyone who dared set foot inside after dark would either lose their mind with fright or come running back out, never to return. The mansion's walls had blackened with age, and strange, ghastly sounds drifted from within at night. One day, the king made a bold announcement in his court. Whoever spends an entire night alone in that dreadful mansion, he declared, will receive 500 gold coins as a reward. But there is one condition: he must not flee in fear, and he must still be there when morning comes. At the mention of gold, many young men puffed out their chests and volunteered. But as evening fell and the mansion's shadows stretched long and thin across the courtyard, their courage drained away like water through sand. Not one of them could bring himself to cross the threshold. When word of this reached Mulla Nasruddin, he marched straight into the court and stepped forward. "My lord," he said, "I accept this challenge. Gold coins are always useful, and as for fear, fear only lies where good sense has fallen asleep." The people stared at him in disbelief. Some whispered that the mullah had lost his mind. Others were certain this would be his last night on earth. Even the king tried to talk him out of it, but Nasruddin would not be moved. He gathered only 3 things: an old lantern, a small portion of food, and a sturdy wooden staff. As the sun began to sink and the jackals started their mournful howling from the mansion's ruined courtyards, the mullah walked calmly toward the great door. The townspeople followed him only as far as the gate, then bid him a quick farewell from a safe distance and hurried home. The heavy door groaned open with a deep, hollow creak. Inside, the darkness was so thick that even the lantern's flame seemed to shrink from it. Nasruddin took a long breath, smiled, and said aloud, "Well then, my friend, let's see how brave you are, and how clever I am." He made his way to the mansion's central courtyard, where the walls exhaled a strange, damp smell of old earth. Choosing a large room whose roof was still intact, he spread out his shawl, set the lantern in a corner, and settled down comfortably. As the night deepened, the sounds outside faded one by one, and the silence inside the mansion grew heavier with every passing minute. Suddenly, a soft drip-drip echoed from somewhere above. The mullah looked up, but the darkness swallowed everything. Perhaps the ceiling is leaking, he thought, though there had been no rain that evening. Then, from the far corner of the room, came the sound of footsteps, heavy, dragging, as though someone were sweeping silk robes across the stone floor. The rustling grew closer and closer, until Nasruddin felt certain that someone, or something, was standing right behind him. But the mullah did not lose his nerve. "Nasruddin," he told himself, "if you flinch now, 500 gold coins will slip through your fingers." He snatched up his staff, spun around, and swung the lantern's light toward the sound. There was nothing there, only his own shadow, tall and wavering against the wall, flickering like a ghost in the trembling light. The mullah laughed. "Oh, my own shadow. Making such a racket for nothing. Why don't we be friends? The night would pass so much more peacefully." But before his laughter had even faded, the heavy door of the room swung shut on its own, as if some invisible hand had sealed it. He tried to force it open, but it held fast, as though it had fused with the frame. At that very moment, a pale, hazy shape drifted in through the crack of light and hung suspended in the air. Where a face should have been. The laughter was still bouncing on the walls when Nasruddin noticed his lantern beginning to dim. The oil was running low, and the flame was shrinking fast. If this light goes out, he thought, that Shadow will have the upper hand. I need to get to the root of this fear, and root it out with courage. Just then, he saw the pale shape sink through an old wooden plank in the floor and disappear. He seized his staff and shoved the plank aside with all his strength. Beneath it lay a dark, foreboding staircase leading down into the mansion's cellar. Without hesitation, Nasruddin descended. The air below was so thick and stale that breathing itself felt like an effort. The cellar was crowded with old trunks and heaps of broken junk. Suddenly, from behind one of the trunks, those same red eyes flared to life once more. Whoever you are, the Mullah thundered, remember this, Nasruddin fears none but God. Certainly not a shadow. This time, the apparition emerged fully, and it looked even more monstrous than before, with long, claw-like nails. It floated toward him and rasped in a torn, guttural voice, "Leave this place, human, or I will drink your blood." Rather than trembling, the Mullah let out a calm sigh. "Well, friend, if you're so thirsty for blood, go ahead. But first tell me, after all these years cooped up in this filthy cellar, aren't you tired? I have a little salt and bread with me. Sit and eat, if you like. Might cool that temper of yours." The Mullah's easy, mocking tone caught the shadow off guard. It hesitated, clearly expecting screams and a mad dash for the door, mock-carved jokes. Instead of retreating, the creature grew even angrier and began hurling everything in the cellar into the air. Trunks split open, dust swirled like a storm. The Mullah shut his eyes and crouched low, listening carefully. Through the chaos, he caught a faint rustling sound coming from the far wall. He turned his dimming lantern toward it and spotted a small crack in the stone, through. The moment the curtain fell, a thin, trembling man stood revealed behind it. He wore a frightening mask over his face, and in each hand he held a shard of red glass that caught the light and glittered exactly like a pair of burning eyes. The Mullah grabbed him by the collar. "So, you are the terrifying shadow." The man collapsed instantly at Nasruddin's feet, weeping. "Mullah, for God's sake, forgive me. I'm no ghost, I'm nothing more than an ordinary thief. My partner and I spread the rumor of a haunting so no one would come near his mansion, and we could stash our stolen goods here in peace." Mullah glanced around the cellar and saw it was true. Heaps of valuable utensils, fine clothes, and jewelry lay piled in the corners, all stolen from the townspeople. The thief began to beg. "Mullah, take the gold coins. Take all of this loot. Just let me go. If the townsfolk find out, they'll tear me apart." Nasruddin smiled. "Frightening Nasruddin isn't quite so easy, my boy. You terrorized an entire city and cost me a good night's sleep. Now the law will decide your fate." He bound the thief tightly to one of the trunks using the man's own rope. The mansion, at last, held no terrifying shadow at all, only a weary Mullah and a weeping thief. Nasruddin settled comfortably onto the trunk and waited for morning. When the first rays of dawn broke through the mansion's shattered windows, the townspeople already began gathering out outside. Most were certain the mullah had either fled in terror or would never be seen again. Merchants and the king's own soldiers stood among the crowd, waiting. Swung open, and Mulla Nasruddin stepped out, utterly composed. In one hand he carried his staff, in the other, the end of a rope, and stumbling along at the other end of that rope was the very thief himself. The mullah walked straight up to the king. "Here," he said, "is your ghost. This ghost drinks no blood and flies through no air. He is, indeed,